Dear student, Assalamu alaikum. This is the subject of Econometrics 1, and today we are going to discuss about three topics. Number one, data and its types. Number two, measurement scales, and in the last, variable and its types. Learning outcomes. After this lecture, you will be able to understand what is data, what are the different types of data, scales of measurement. In the scale of measurement, we discuss the nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and ratio scale. And at the end, the last topic, we discuss the variable and its different types. So let's start. The first topic is the data. What is data? Data are characteristics or information, usually numerical, that are collected through observation. In a more technical sense, data is a set of values of qualitative or quantitative variables about one or more persons or objects, while datum singular of data is a single value of the single variable. Now we discuss the different types of data. Here we select some types of data like primary versus secondary data, qualitative versus quantitative data, cross-sectional data, time series data, pooled data, and in the end, the panel data. Starts from the primary versus secondary data. In detail, primary data collected by the investigator himself or herself for a specific purpose. Examples: data collected by a student for his or her thesis or research project. Secondary data, data collected by someone else for some other purposes, but being utilized by the investigator for another purpose. What is the difference between primary and secondary data? Secondary data is already existing data collected by investigators, agencies and organizations earlier, like in Pakistan Economic Survey, Bureau of Labor Statistics, State Bank of Pakistan collected the data on the many variable to check the economy health. Whereas the primary data is the real-time data. Secondary data is one which relates to the past, where primary data collection sources include surveys, observations, experiments, questionnaire, and personal interviews. We also collect the primary data for police stations, hospitals, and other institutes. Another type of important type of the data is the quantitative and qualitative data. Quantitative data are measure of values or count and are expressed as numbers. Quantitative data are about numeric variables, for example, how many, how much, and how often. Whereas qualitative data are measures of types and may be represented by the name, symbols, or a number code. Another important type of data is the cross-sectional data. In simple word, we can say that the data collected at one point in time is called the cross-sectional data. Cross-sectional data are observation that have come from different individuals or groups at a single point in time. If one considers closing price of a group of 20 different stocks on December 15, 1986, this would be an example of the cross-sectional data. Cross-sectional data of one or more variable collected at the same point in time Another important example is the time series data. The data collected over the period of time with equal intervals is called the time series data. Time series data means the data is in a series of particular time periods or interval. The data is considered in three types. Time series data, a set of observations on the values that a variable takes at the different times. For example, GDP, the gross domestic product, data on inflation, the CPI, consumer price index, collected every month, where the GDP collected every year. This very simple is the stock data of the stocks prices, which is daily data. Another example is the manufacturing data, which is we collected on the frequency of 5 years. The very long frequency is the population census, which we collected after every 10 years. Next is the pool data. What is pool data? Pool data is a mixture of time series data and cross-sectional data. Simply we can say that the combination of time series and cross-sectional data is called the pool data. Panel, longitudinal or micro panel data is a type that is pool data of the nature. The difference is that we measure over the same cross-sectional unit for an individual, household and firms, etc. Simply we can say that panel data is a special type of pool data in which the same cross-sectional unit surveyed over the period of time. Here we differentiate between the pooled data and panel data. Pooled data occur when we have a time series of cross sections, but the observation in each cross section do not necessarily refer to the same unit. Whereas the panel data refer to the sample of same cross section unit observed at multiple points in time, or same cross section unit surveyed over the period of time. Our next topic is the scales of measurement. The scales of measurement refer to ways in which variables, numbers are defined and categorized. Each scale of measurement has certain properties, which in turn determines the appropriateness for use of certain statistical analysis. There are 4 scales of measurement, namely nominal scale, ordinal scale, interval scale, and the last, the ratio scale. Now we one by one discuss about the 4 scales of measurement. The first one is the nominal scale. To understand the nominal scale, first of all, we understand what is the nominal data. In statistics, nominal data, also known as the nominal scale, is a type of data that is used to label variables without providing any quantitative value. It is the simplest form of the scale of measures. One of the most notable features of the nominal data, ordinal data, is that nominal data cannot be ordered and cannot be measured. Now we discuss what is nominal scale. A nominal scale is a scale of measurement that uses label to classify cases measurement into the classes. Some example of the variable that use the nominal scale valued be religious affairs, sex, that is male or female, city, where you live. Other example include urban or rural, Urdu medium schools and English medium school, Christians and Muslims. Our next type is the ordinal scales. First of all, we discuss what is ordinal data. It is a categorical statistical type where the variables have natural order, categories, and distance between categories is not known. These data exist on ordinal scale, one of four levels of the measurement described by S.S. Stevens in 1964. Ordinal scale. So what is ordinal scale? One example of an ordinal scale could be movie rating. For example, students in a class could rate a movie on a scale below. A sample data set is given below left. In this type of scale, the order of classes cannot be changed and illustrated in the example graph below. I will give you the graph in the chapter which I uploaded on easyclass.com. Interval data. Interval data, also called an integers, is defined as the data type which is measured along a scale in which each point is placed at equal distance from one another. Interval data has very distinctive attributes that make it distinct in comparison to nominal data or ordinal data or even ratio data. Example of the interval data includes the temperature in Celsius or Fahrenheit, marks grading, IQ test, CGPA. These interval data examples are measured with the equal intervals in their respective scales. Interval data are often used for statistical research, econometric research, school grading, scientific studies, and probability. Interval scale. Interval scale is defined as the quantitative measurement scale where the difference between two variables is meaningful. Interval scale is the third level of measurement. In other words, the variables are measured in actual and not as a relative manner, where the presence of zero is arbitrary. Ratio data is defined as the quantitative data having the same properties as interval data with an equal and definitive ratio between each data and absolute zero being are treated as a point of origin. In other words, there can be no negative numerical value in ratio data. Good example of the ratio variable include height, weight, and duration. Ratio scale provide a wealth of possibilities when it comes to statistical analysis. These variables can be meaningfully added, subtracted, multiplied, divided. Ratio scale. Ratio scale is a type of variable measurement scale which is quantitative in nature. Ratio scale allows any researcher to capture the interval or differences. Ratio scale is the fourth level of measurement and possesses a 0 point or character of origin. This is a unique feature of the ratio scale. Our next topic is the variable. What is variable? Simply we can say that variable is a symbol which may assume the different values within its range. A variable is a symbol such as x used to describe any number. When a variable is used in a function, we know that it is not just one constant number. but that it can represent many numbers. Variables are instrumental in understanding problems relating to graphing. Some practical examples of the variables are in economics, like price, like age, are the some practical examples. For example, price may be vary with the passage of time. Types of variable. A discrete variable is a variable whose value is obtained by counting. A continuous variable is a simple word, a variable which may assume any value within its range is called discrete variable. The example of the discrete variables is the price. A continuous variable which may assume each and every value within its range is called the continuous variable. For example, thermometer. For example, speedometer of a car. Our next tab is the qualitative variable. A qualitative variable, also called a categorical variable, are variables that are not numerical. It describes that fits into the categories. For example, eye color. Variables include blue, green, brown, and hazel. For example, sex. For example, sex like male and female. For example, your area like rural or urban. For example, religious affairs like Christians, Muslim, and other religions. Quantitative variable. Variables that are measured on a numeric or quantitative scale. Ordinal, interval, and ratio scales are quantitative in nature. A country population, a person's shoe size, or a car speed are all quantitative variables. In economics, GDP, that is the gross domestic product, CPI, trade volume are the example of the qualitative variables. Independent variable. An independent variable is defined as the variable that is changed or controlled in a scientific experiment. Independent variables are the variables that are experimenters change to test their dependent variable. A change in the independent variable directly causes a change in the dependent variable. In econometrics, we frequently use the dependent and independent variable as independent variable x and y as a dependent variable. The dependent variable. The dependent variable, sometimes known as the responding variable, is what is being studied and measured in the experiment. An example of the dependent variable is how tall you are at the different ages. The dependent variable height depends on the independent variable age. In our econometrics example, in economic example, the dependent variable GDP and the independent variable like trade, like institutions, like labor, like capital are the independent variable which are increase the dependent variable, that is GDP. Data sources. Here we explain different types of the data sources, that is the primary data sources including the information collected and processed directly by the researcher, such as observations, surveys, interviews, and focus groups. Secondary data sources including the information retrieved through the pre-existing sources, research articles, internet, or library research and different databases like World Bank or State Bank of Pakistan, Ministry of Finance, Economic Survey of Pakistan, etc. Here are some economic data sources: WDI, the World Development Indicator, the World Bank dataset, Ministry of Finance, Government of Pakistan, and State Bank of Pakistan. Here you are explore the different economic data sets for your research project. Thank you.